We all hold images of forests in our hearts. These images intertwine with our mood and memories of the occasions we ventured into the woods. That is why, upon hearing the word forest, everyone draws a unique picture in their imagination, based on individual experience and fantasy. At the same time, there is a sense of separation, since us, human beings, have long detached ourselves from nature. None of us can see the forest through the eyes of a deer, a woodpecker, or a lynx. Each sees a different world, a different forest. They are a part of what they see in a way that we have lost. Therefore, we must rely on our own eyes, and what we see must suffice. If we decide to roam the forest that lives within us, we may be able to touch upon the mysteries of our existence. Nowadays, every child knows that nature must be protected. We need to recover an understanding of its importance. Yet how can we understand nature when its essence lies in its independence from us? How do we regain the ability to hear the stories of ferns, of oaks, of all life within the forest? How do we connect to the streams and the veins of pale green leaves? A nature film is limited to the visual exploration of this unfathomable inner path. We travel toward the mountain wilderness from the open landscapes in Hungary, beginning our journey in the winding green corridor along the floodplain woodlands of the Danube and its tributary, the Ipoly. Then we head towards the oak groves in the lower areas of Bergen. Our path is gradually ascending as we get deeper into the woods. And perhaps, by the time we arrive amongst the mist-shrouded beech trees of the High Bergen, in our quest to find the hidden stories of the forests, we also find a connection to ourselves. Dawn is breaking. We see the Danube's floodplain taking shape amid the waning darkness. Odd-looking creatures are moving beneath the sheltering trees. Sharp-eyed hunters are closely watching them. Of course, the herons are not concerned with the business of beavers. The hunting birds and these large rodents get along perfectly well. Each sees the forest in their own way, but their distinct forest image doesn't collide. Beavers have only returned to this area recently. These semi-aquatic rodents don't have any natural enemies. Occasionally they venture out into the rushing current of the Danube, even visiting ship docks now and then. Although some fear the impact beavers can have upon the environment, these amusing creatures have been part of this landscape since the ancient times. The beaver's smaller relative, the beaver rat, or koipu, more commonly known as the nutria, has also found a foothold along the banks of the Danube, despite its being native to South America. Their forebears were released along the river deliberately by breeders. And on such a beautiful morning as this, what else is there for the ordinary nutria but to float among the water caltrop and feast upon the vegetation? This beaver has finished breakfast already, and now it is time for the daily grooming. The swollen Danube has recently submerged its floodplain. As the river retreats, the deeper pits transform into fish ponds. Egrets and herons cannot resist such a convenient abundance of fish. Should there be no further flooding, the fate of the pond-bound fish will be sealed. All of them are hunted. All of them are prey. Even larger carps, pikes, and tenches are on the menu, just like the smaller breams. Or the tiny fingerlings. These latter are popular delicacies for the vividly colorful kingfisher. This kingfisher, however, has caught a chaser larvae. The larvae's dry, prickly body is not so easy to cope with. Swept up by the hunting fever, even gray herons can miscalculate now and then. The apex predator of the floodplains, the otter, occasionally hunts here as well, sometimes even after dawn. For in the wild, the animals are always hungry. On certain summer evenings above the waters of the Danube and the Epoi, we can witness a peculiar dance, the swarm of mayflies. They hatch and rise out of the water, reproduce, and end their short life on Earth in a single hour. Leaving the aquatic world behind, we cross the threshold of the mountain range. Approaching from the north villages along the Epoi River, we are greeted by meadows and pastures. A small population of European ground squirrels lives around here. They are considered an endangered species and are specially protected within the borders of Hungary. Their presence makes these pastures a popular hunting ground for the imperial eagles nesting in Bergen. These same mountains, when approached from the south, are like entering a completely different world. On the rocky turf of the southern slopes, we find the magnificent pheasant's eye flowers. Proceeding further towards the mountainous woodlands, the spring unfurls a carpet of corydales before our feet. We are now in the drier oak grove of the lower mountains. Nevertheless, this habitat is not without its wetlands. For this wagtail, hungry chicks are waiting. The life of its relative, the gray wagtail, is connected more strongly to the water, but their nesting areas overlap sometimes. On the banks of the stream, blue tits are settling into a tree hole. An unusual banter is taking place. Now and then the female demands food from the male, who only passes the worms after a little teasing. The sunlight gives way to darkness. The birdsong dies off slowly, and the forest chatter surrenders to the whispers of the night. In the dark, our hearing grows sharper. We can detect the rustling of even the tiniest creatures. Although our eyes can adjust to a certain degree of darkness, a night like this is still a playground for the imagination. It is a time of deepest secrets. This truth has been with us since ancient times. The savage, animalistic fear that grows within us as the light fades, as is the case today. Although a night in the Bergern holds little danger, yet as we walk under the starlit crown of trees, our ancient instincts blend anxiety with our curiosity. In this contradictory state of mind, we get the sense of what is called sublime. We have arrived at the heart of these mountains. At the beginning of the 20th century, large predators had become extinct in this area. And yet, these days, if we are lucky, we may even find wolf's tracks here in the High Berghegne. Not long ago, the lynx also reappeared. The large carnivores are beginning to reclaim their old empire, coming down from the northern forests of Upper Hungary. Every so often, a bear will enter the mountains and take up temporary lodgings. The small mammals living here can feed the predators all year round. But as autumn approaches, the rodents of the forest begin to dwindle. As the weather grows cold, the European dormice retreat for their winter-long sleep. Only mice and voles occasionally venture from their dens to visit their secret pantry. In the autumn's chill, hungry predators are lurking everywhere. When the first snow falls and the weather turns bleak, their raids must be both frequent and successful if they hope to survive until spring. It is a January morning. All appears calm under a blanket of snow on the clearing. Yet something waits and watches from a nearby thicket. A wildcat lurks in the brush. His keen senses have detected something. In the middle of the clearing lies the carcass of a rabbit. Now the cat's belly is full. He doesn't want to take the rabbit with him. Instead, he tries to disguise it by dredging up a drift of snow. The frozen snow does little to reward his attempt at camouflage. Perhaps for a day or two, this delicacy will elude the eyes of other curious predators. In the high Bergern, as winter recedes, the snow retains its foothold, yet there are signs of renewed life. The snowdrop has emerged. The February daphne is blooming. The estrus cycle for the wildcats has passed. The Eurasian eagle owls and the Ural owls are preparing to lay their eggs. And the eastern imperial eagles are not idling either. Their ancient nest awaits them. By the time the beech trees turn green, the sole focus of the eagles will be on raising their offspring. In April, a rare snow shower may momentarily throw a white cloak across the landscape, but spring is inevitable. As the real summer arrives, insect life explodes. On this dried-up tree, a male stag beetle awaits the coming of the evening. But now he senses something. Another beetle is approaching. It is a female of the lesser stag beetle, a related species. Of course, getting to know each other better is out of the question. Dusk is setting in. This sizable male begins to look for suitable females. Once again, he encounters an obstacle. Not a rival per se, for this fellow creature is way below his weight class. Thus, they can both avoid a fight. The longhorn beetles, whose habitat is the old-growth forests of Bergen, also need to find a mate before autumn arrives. Never in history has mankind felt so united in thinking that the world is coming to an end. Perhaps we should change our attitude now, at the last minute. We need to recall something critical we have already forgotten. At the beginning of this film, we mentioned that the essence of nature is its independence from us, human beings. In many ways, this seems like an innate truth, but physical reality shows otherwise. Today's hikers have to look past a landscape broken and scarred by civilization, and they must see it as a virgin forest. We have to cross the bridge made of the illusion of pristineness in order to glimpse the vanished lights of the past. This is not always easy. However, nature's miracle is precisely its ability to evoke the ancient feelings that lie dormant within us. Namely, that here we are connected to something untouched. These are the transcendent moments in hiking, when we seem to remember something we have never seen: the primeval forest. When we look back on the landscapes and vistas of our past, striving to recall their beauty and detail, our memories seem obscured. It's as if we see them through a haze. What was real becomes conjecture. The haze of memory blurs the shapes of trees, the majesty of mountains, and everything seems to point beyond itself into nothingness. Do you remember the first motto of this film? I know nothing at all, but I think I have foreknowledge of it all. An instinctual journey is the greatest adventure, through which our path leads into the foreknowable. As if the final translucency were calling. Walking through the foggy heights, reaching forward, searching out each step, we can feel a thrill upon seeing the beauty stretching out into obscurity, because it seems like the perfect symbolic image of our lives. Our whole lives are a journey through that thick haze. We know nothing at all, but perhaps we have foreknowledge of it all.